everybody, and welcome to Music Real Talk with Marbin. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 93 of Music Real Talk with Marbin. Yeah, we recorded a little bit, and it all went to shit, so my Pro Tools quit unexpectedly.
And then didn't back it up.
Which is a very sad event.
Because we said a lot of interesting stuff.
It was super interesting.
I'm sure we'll go back to it.
Probably the most interesting podcast episode we've ever done.
Yeah, but we can just go back and say it. So let's just continue.
Yeah, so situation's this. Wednesday we embark on a trio tour. Danny will try to join us maybe some weekends, but it's not looking too promising. It's not going to be too much of that.
Yeah, we thought it's going to be more, but...
But life is kicking us in the balls.
Yeah, it ended up... We already had a plan, and it kind of fell through, unfortunately. It had nothing to do with us.
When they hosted me on that Fusion show, they asked me, how do I... Just something about the career. I was trying to give a metaphor of what having a career in Fusion feels like. I was comparing it to finding a woman, and she's like really hot, but then you discover that she has no genitals, and after you marry her, you find out that her hobby is kicking you in the balls.
Basically.
Yeah. But anyways, now I'm optimistic. I gotta figure out how to play trio. And like, not just, it's weird, like certain things about playing without you, like, I feel like don't really work very well. Like unison lines, when there's nobody to play a unison with you, just feels like you're weirdly soloing.
Why didn't you make John learn it?
Bass guitar unisons don't do the same thing, because then you don't have bass.
Yeah.
And bassists love it. Bassists' favorite thing is to have a moment in the music when nobody's playing bass.
Yeah, but it's not just a bassist thing. It's everybody's thing. Whatever people like the most is not doing their jobs.
That is true.
At their jobs.
Yes.
So it's true for everybody.
Which is not exactly true for me, because I really like soloing.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
But it's very rare. Most people, what they like is being at their jobs, not doing their jobs.
Yes. By that logic, I would be comping like all the time, though.
Yeah, but that's also part of your job.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe drumming on the guitar, doing the slappy
playing
tappy
bass.
thing.
Yeah, stuff
playing
like that.
bass lines. Yeah, I think nobody likes playing bass.
Yeah,
is the real reality. It's boring. I get it, but bassists love like having a section in the song where they're doing something else, but their job.
No, but if you talk to any teacher, and we talk, I talk about education a lot. If you talk to any teacher, the thing they tell you, it's not about teaching math for me. It's about, bringing whatever,
raising social consciousness.
Yeah, for the kids, or it's like whatever. It's not their job to teach. It's what they like to do.
Absolutely.
So it's the same. It's just the same for everybody. We just don't like doing it.
Doing their job at their job.
Yeah, because it's difficult and it's mundane and you've been judged for it and you're supposed to be doing it well, right?
Yeah.
And when you do stuff that you're not supposed to do, it's very easy to succeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially when most people, what they do, like when a bass player solos, people clap even though they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But when they comp, it's like, we know our bass players should comp.
That's such a phenomena of jazz, like that you have like a walking jazz bass, like a walking solo, and then everybody claps because like he's like they notice that he's there for the first time in the evening, and they think it's because they love bass solos, and like they always look at you like proof, like, see. That's what they were waiting for. It's like, no, it's just like, it just feels different than like the music they came to see for a second.
Yeah.
So it's just like a pocket in time that like they notice something else happened. So they're acknowledging that it's not the same as everything else that happened till now, but they don't like it. Nobody likes it. Like a walking solo is some of the least impressive thing that can happen in music is a walking bass solo.
But even in our show, it's kind of, I feel like, okay, I'm not talking about any basis in particular what we had. I'm just talking about generally in fusion shows.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true for really every fusion show I've seen. It's basically the audience, or even jazz show, the audience like to think that they've seen an all-star band, like a meeting of the greats.
Mm-hmm.
And the solo, like we're basically going, makes them feel like the entire show was like that.
Yeah.
You know, and who did we see? Ernst Tibbs.
Ernest Tibbs.
And he was so good at comping, but when he played a solo, it was so horrible.
Yeah, it was not good.
It was so horrible in a way I didn't predict.
Dude, so our friend Ben just sent us like a video of Toto, like playing like Roxana or one of like their big hits. And I was like looking at the drummer, I was just like, hey, that's a fucking old guy from The Boat that played in the fusion band, Simon Phillips. And I just put it together, like right there, that's Toto's drummer. And I remember talking to him on The Boat, because he was talking to us about his see-through drum kit. And he was like, yeah, like a British, it's like, I had it in storage for 15 years in Miami, didn't know what to do with it. And then I was like, oh, perfect, I'll take it on the cruise. And it didn't sit right in my mind. It's like, how does a fusion guy afford to keep anything like a bag of peanuts in storage for 15 years? It seemed like did he marry rich? Like what's going on there? And then I just see Toto playing for like a stadium of people, and I see this guy banging away at the drums. I was like, oh, is that the only way to like afford having a fusion band? Steve Smith from Journey has Vital Information. That's like, is it all like the drummer, like just like bitter arena rock musicians that like do their side thing?
Yes.
You know, that's how you have to do it.
100%.
Yeah, I guess.
Steve Gadd.
Yeah, I was talking.
Coliota.
It's true. Yeah, Sting, Paul Simon. It's the only way to play fusion. That's how it happens. Like you have.
We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Which actor are you gonna play saxophone for?
Dua Lipa. It's a woman or a band?
I don't know. It's one of them. I think it's a woman band.
Okay.
But yeah. It's I think that's the only model it's the West Coast model for success.
Yeah.
It's the New York one is play at the 55 bar. And like you impress like the biggest rodent that lives there. They said you go on a trip to whatever Europe with like your jazz band. Yeah. What was I gonna say about that? The Simon Phillips. His band. It's weird. Like there's a certain attitude that like him and Steve Smith bring to fusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just that. I never heard of his band before, but he was acting very famous.
Yeah.
It was a very confusing thing, and all the musicians there, like that Israeli bassist we met,
they talked about him like he's the shit.
Yeah, they talked about like he's the shit, and it's like it's not the way that you would talk about Dennis Chambers. Like they were talking about his like. They were talking up to him. It was clear that he was very high on the socioeconomic bracket.
Well,
it all makes sense
with
now.
Dennis Chambers, you would talk to him about him like that, but it would be more about his playing.
Yeah, he's like a legend.
Yeah.
The way they were talking about him, it's like he can really play a song. Like you can throw pop in front of him, and he really plays the song.
Like he's a fusion guy, but he can.
He can really do whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah. So, if you guys know of any arena rock bands that are looking for a saxophone or guitar,
It'll be
let
nice.
us know.
Yeah,
Danny can join an arena rock band 4 days of any month.
No, for that I'll just for that amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's I was listening to the radio. I'm like the only guy that listens to the radio because I don't have a cable in our Prius to hook up my phone.
You don't have Bluetooth?
No. I do, but it doesn't work. So
No, when you don't.
I don't have functional Bluetooth. So I do listen to the radio, and the radio these days, I mean, if the toilet was big enough to put your head in after you took a shit, you would have a less stinky experience than just scrolling through the radio. It's so bad. It's so like we are. First of all, half the stations are just the '80s. Like there's just
It was 4 songs from the 80s too.
it's it's not fair to say it's really like 1978 to like 1988.
Okay, but still.
Yeah, it's like the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s. And we're just in this like nostalgia thing for that for some reason. I think all the disc jockeys, that's just their age now. The people that still keep those stupid jobs that believe the radio is still a thing.
You know what it would be if it would be like in cooking? Like if I'm going to give a metaphor for cooking, that, because we just have this couple of songs. Like those bands have albums, and I guess I get not all of the songs are the same. But even Sting has a lot of good songs that are not on the radio.
Ever.
And Paul Simon, same thing.
Sure.
So it's like it does the same songs. It's basically like somebody that's cooking and is making a muffin and is like, people don't like just to eat flour. And people don't like to just eat, I don't know what to say. Well, we like eating eggs. But like what we really like is sugar. So let's just give them sugar packets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we're not going to give them the entire thing. We're just going to give them the basic ingredient that they really love. Just sugar and more sugar and more sugar. It's like, dude, can you give, can you put some other stuff on there too to mix it up?
Can I tell you something? So we went to Ravinia. I have to talk about that too, to see Bela Flex Band, which is excellent. Their new album is the shit. It's so good. If you didn't listen to them, it's called My Bluegrass Heart, I think. So good, really. The excellent album. It's kind of Piazzolla of bluegrass.
No.
But when we were sitting on the lawn, I had this idea. I think maybe it was Pride Month that made me think of it. I don't know. But it was like for my next company. So I'm going to market lube, KY jelly, in ketchup packets.
Why?
Because it's hilarious. And it's gonna, can't you imagine like like a Planned Parenthood, just like a thing. It's called like the condiment, and you pick up a condom and a ketchup packet and you just like open it with your teeth and just go squirt.
I don't think it's enough lube.
Get 2 ketchup packets.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe you get the whole ketchup bottle, the squeezy.
Yeah. That's a good idea, actually.
Call it the condiment.
Yeah. That's actually a very good idea.
All you gotta do is get some fucking coconut oil and a ketchup packet, and you're done.
I don't know what's going on. What's going in lube?
I mean, I don't know either. I just made that up. Jamie, look up if
What's made
coconut, the cancerous effects of coconut oil inside your genitals. Anyways, if I catch like a person starting a company and stealing my idea, and then I find out they like fusion, I'll know where they got it.
Yeah.
I'll find you. I'll find you, and you owe me half.
Yeah, I do feel like our first half that was not recorded was better.
Really?
Yeah, but it's fine. I only bring it up because we were talking about how it feels like we're in ground zero all of a sudden since what happened to me, and it's like with career, no, fuck personal life, just career-wise.
Sure.
But we're not really in ground zero because we're 36. And
We're not only 36. We made more albums than the Beatles.
yeah, and we've done a lot of also all original music, all different songs. Like we've done a lot.
A lot.
But the amazing thing to me about it is how untranslatable it is to anything else right now, which you would think it is translatable, right? So we're home, and some people know we're home, but it's not like we're flooded with people trying to hire us for gigs.
Right.
And it's crazy, because we definitely know how to play.
Yeah.
And everybody would admit it too.
Well, here's the thing. What gigs?
Exactly. I was just about to say.
I was trying. I'm trying very hard to turn this into a positive. I'm not doing a good job, but I'm trying. I tend to sort of wallow in things, but occasionally I have like these bursts of positivity, and I'm like, I'm gonna figure this out, So just I had the idea of like, you know what, like maybe I don't need to start a thing. Maybe I can like join a thing. Let's find some jazz trios in Chicago that like, maybe piano trios, saxophone trios, see if they'll have me sit in. And dude, I was just looking at the way people play music. I was just like, I don't want to play with these fuckers.
Did you
I
look
don't
up
wanna play
like
with these pickers.
famous musicians and try to reach out to them?
In Chicago?
No, just generally.
No.
You didn't do it. Why not?
No, because I like I'm not going to like leave my baby and my wife to go, play $100 gig in New York.
No, but like I don't know, with Chris Potter on tour or something. I don't know how much money it is.
That's not Chris Potter's not going to take me.
I know, but I was just saying.
He has, like if he wants like a young guitar player, he could play with like Nierfelder or Kreisberg or whoever that's in his world. Like he has his pick. So it's just not going to happen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying like him.
But that's the thing. First of all, when you're thinking about that, there's like 7 people like him, in the world, and they're all doing a bunch of shit. And I was just looking at Chicago, seeing what's happening here.
Even Chris Potter is to me, he's over the hill. It's like nobody's talking about him.
Yeah.
Like when I talk to saxophone players, nobody's talking about him. Mm-hmm. When I talk to saxophone players, nobody talks about anybody anymore. They talk about
TikTokers.
They talk about a video that's viral. So Patrick Bartley people talk about for 2 seconds because after you've gone, that's it. Mm-hmm. Nobody's talking to me about Patrick Bartley anymore. So it's just somebody playing saxophone.
I hear saxophone from like the beach. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm saying that nobody's talking about musicians anymore. It doesn't seem to me like because I talked to a bunch of saxophone players and. Dude, it's easier to get women on Tinder than saxophone players to take a lesson. It's better. It's like percentage-wise, it's easier.
I bet.
But no, I'm talking to all the saxophone players, and they don't mention up a saxophone player that they're really into.
Yeah.
And it's so strange.
Oh, the world is messed up on that regard. But yeah, I mean, the weird thing about being in this situation is just, we've talked about this thing of potential. It's like, for me, like it felt like that I have a bunch of things I know how to do. Like I feel like I know how to play jazz. I know how to play gypsy jazz. I even like know how to write some songs. But this starting over business, it's not so simple when you're this age. It's not because when you do one thing for real, you understand what it takes. I think for a lot of people, the way they think about it is like, I'm just going to follow my passion no matter what and try this because this is what I like now. But what they really are saying is, I'm going to put myself in an impossible situation and fail and tell myself I tried.
Yeah.
But I know what it means to start a project, to do something for real. I know what the first years look like.
Yeah, even that even if you're successful, and obviously you're not going to be back at zero, but you're going to be way down from where you are right now with Marbin. So it's like just going back in time it's
very difficult.
It's horrible.
It's horrible and it's very difficult. Yeah. No, you got to push forward in some way and build on what you have. And also it's like, what we've done, in a way, it's like, it's there and it will always be there. I mean, it doesn't feel like that when you're like a jazz musician. That's the thing. It's like, there's really the feeling that your albums are sort of like holograms floating in time, outside of time and space, and all you have is your playing, and the longer people don't hear you, the less you exist.
Yeah.
It's like...
That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah. It's like, that's... Because for me, I even remember like the horror of what I felt like the day we left on last time, which is, I'm assuming, 100th of the horror you felt.
Yeah.
Like when everything was happening with your marriage and you couldn't join us for the first few shows, and we were just in the car scrambling to come up with trio arrangements of our material. But then, playing in front of people, just the act of playing music to people, it's weird. It's like it's almost like the opposite of stage fright, because I have stage fright at home, like being anxious about like thinking about playing, not playing, my life, what I've done with it. The moment I start playing for people, it's like, this is the one thing I fucking know how to do.
Yeah, I had this, when I had my issues with my marriage, and it wasn't like the last tour, but it was January. January is when I thought things are going to fall apart. And the story, actually after January, I thought things are finally coming back together again.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised by the divorce, because it seemed, the story anyway. Why I thought that. It made sense if I didn't understand that I was married to a narcissist, sociopath monster. But, so yeah, it caught me off guard, but...
That's not fair. She's much worse than that.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying it's caught me off guard, the divorce announcement by her.
Yeah.
But the time before in January, like at least when I was on stage and playing, and it was true also for the cruise, that I felt like, oh man, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's like I like playing, I know how to do it. Everybody, and it's not just that I like to do it, and like I love doing it. It's just the reaction from people. It's like it's obvious to everybody, everybody that's around it. It's obvious to them that that's what I'm supposed to do. So that was great. But when you went on tour the first time without me, I had so much shit to deal with.
Yeah.
And I really thought, when I didn't know, now I know what she was planning, but I didn't know what she was planning back then. So, I was worried about my house, I was worried about my daughter, I had a lot of stuff to worry about. And so the tour stuff wasn't really hitting me. And now when you're going on tour again,
You got FOMO?
it's just like, oh man, it's a fucking bummer.
It is a
And
bummer.
I told you, it's like,
Sucks.
this tour was great. I love the places that I booked, and it's like great shows, and it would be a lot of fun. And it's like, we would have a fucking blast with the two of us.
Yeah.
So it's really a bummer.
It is a bummer. Yeah, I had John over here to go over some songs, just make sure we remember all the heads and the arrangements like we came up with, like Without You, because he has to solo much more and all that. And I threw a drum machine on, a metronome to play. And John, I love him with all my heart. Sometimes, like, he has he's so much better than he was like when we first met. And
Even for a couple of years ago.
yeah, and he keeps improving. But there were like a few moments where it's like, like his time wasn't the greatest when we were playing together, just the two of us. But still, like, it's like playing with him and Everett. It's not Victor Wooten and Dennis Chambers. It's like sometimes there's slop on some things. There are some things that are not as tight, but it's like, it's our slop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like running through an obstacle course that
Yeah.
It's like, when the hurdles are coming, you've learned how to hop them. And it's like, God bless his heart. Like, I'm used to it. Like, I just, that's the one thing that I found really reassuring, even like when we're playing on the ship. It's like, it's, when you see like a super trio fusion thing, like, Victor Wooten, Dennis Chambers, and Greg Howe or some shit like that, and they're playing together and everything's like super tight and in time, but they don't know each other. It's like, man, like that stuff's great, but it's not as interesting as people who know each other's idiosyncratic things, and like, especially when you see a show once a year.
We're also really into we're really into the music.
Yeah.
So the two of us are really into the music, and then I think also John and Everett are basically into it because they heard it so much, and they've been through it. The way they learn it is we show them the songs, and then we figure stuff out. And they have say. But if you look at those super trios or whatever, like Ozno or something,
they just get a chart and a recording.
And a recording, but a lot of, like Dennis Chambers wasn't on the recording, Vinnie Colaiuta was on the recording. Right. So they don't have this attachment to the music. They don't feel it's their own. And it's very obvious by the way they play. And it's very obvious by everything. And, we have an open solo that we put for the drums. Right. One open solo, but it's like, it's a part of the show that we think about. And it's not like, here's the Dennis Chambers section. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same.
Dude, I told you, I wrote Greg Essig, our drummer, that played on Aggressive Hippies.
Yeah, Danny asked me if he's going to want to play with Danny, and I was like, no.
Yeah, so I wrote him to if he wants the weekly gig I have in Chicago starting in
Did you write him like
July.
a story too?
No.
Like I'm in Chicago, I'm vet.
I wrote him a little bit of a story. I wrote him like what the gig pays, which is not bad for a Tuesday
No, I mean
night.
like it was like Danny got divorced.
No,
or
no,
a
I didn't
mess.
write him any of
Okay.
that stuff. I just wrote him a thing, never heard back. I wonder if he will write me back or just ignore it.
What did you write him?
Huh?
Like an email?
Yesterday, a text.
Oh.
He
yeah.
blocked me on Facebook, so
I
can't
know,
write
but I
him
thought
there.
you can do contact me on his website probably and send him an email.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
I think. I think he just still hates me with all his heart. He did pull my hair.
Yeah, I
don't
was
know-
just about to say, if you were like, hey, do you want to pull my hair again? I'm into it now.
I don't remember why. I remember I was talking to him about his playing after a
Charlottesville.
show.
Yeah.
Like, just stop doing like this shit, and he like pulled my ponytail.
Yeah, in Charlottesville.
And I was in shock. I started laughing because nobody like.
It was very weird.
It's like the last. I mean, I don't think anybody ever pulled my
Why
ponytail.
would they? Yeah.
No, even like elementary school.
Well,
and
you didn't
stuff,
have a
do-
ponytail.
I had one like pretty early on.
Oh, really?
I had long hair since like 5th grade or something, 4th
Okay.
grade. But you know, you typically do that to girls.
Yeah.
You know, it's just weird if a guy pulls your ponytail.
I never did.
Yeah, I never pulled a guy's ponytail.
Well, not as a kid, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so I hope he takes the. I think it would be interesting to play with him after all these years.
I think you'll be like, oh my God, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he listens to the podcast.
It doesn't
So
matter.
this is
The
an open
podcast.
call, Greg. Come back.
You
Uh,
need people that used to be in Marbin, for them to not hate Marbin would take a lot.
Should I call Justin?
Justin will come play probably for $100.
Really?
And then you're going to be like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be fun.
No.
Why?
Because you know why.
Why?
His
Wh-
character just.
What would happen?
Well, actually, I don't know. It might be fine. He's going to be late.
That's right.
He's going to give you side eye for stuff.
You think so? You think he's not over it? Think he hates us forever?
No, well, not really. Like, I think that if he sees you, he won't hate you.
Uh-huh. But if we get into it,
But if you
start-
get into it, or you play, or you have something to tell him, or you're like, oh, why don't you, let's go back to play, or like, oh, let's take it a little bit faster. Once something like that is introduced, it's going to be like flashback.
Yeah.
And then he's going to say something, or do something, or be on his phone.
Mhm.
Or, it's not a good idea.
No. Yeah. It's weird. I mean, this thing of like, I really don't want to rehearse. I really do not want to like, find like new people and like try to rehearse. I just want to find like music, like for that weekly thing,
Yeah.
obviously. I'll take John, and I wish Everett lives closer. I mean, if we could just do it, the three of us, that would really be the easiest thing for me. But it might be tough.
I think, yeah, well, if he has to come for John's gig anyway, then, Sunday to Tuesday, that makes more sense for him.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if John has a weekly. I don't think he does.
He doesn't, he has a monthly.
A monthly, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, either that or you talk to Everett about his wrestling
Maybe.
schedule.
That Bela Fleck concert, man, that mandolin player, Sierra Hall.
She's good.
She is badass. She is so good. But everybody in that band was good. I was kind of surprised by, they had the show was Jerry Douglas opening, and then Sam Bush, and then Bela Fleck. That's how they're touring, like 3 bands. And man, Bela's band just smoked them. It was like, it was weird to hear, because everybody could play in all those bands.
Obviously, Jerry Douglas.
Yeah, they all play good, and they all have a great sound. But man, that I'm not a huge Bela Fleck fan usually, but that context for him
That's
is excellent.
what's the instrumentation?
It was upright bass, guitar, Brian Sutton, was just badass.
Also famous.
Yeah. Mandolin, dobro, violin.
Did we sing?
No.
Oh.
I think maybe one song.
Maybe did she sing? Because she sings.
I don't know if she did. I heard there was a guy singing.
Doesn't she sing in?
Oh,
Doesn't she
sure.
sing in? Usually that's what she does.
Not sure. And banjo, obviously.
Okay.
Just
Banjo or electric?
acoustic. And it's, something about string bands. I don't know anything about bluegrass, but I wonder how their version of like playing the groove works. because the roles are super defined and complex. You know what I mean? But it's like La Pompe. It's not like the parts aren't like written out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're all like arpeggiating in different ways, and like they have like, but it's like that interlocking thing between like a banjo, a mandolin, a guitar, and an upright bass. It's just so good when it's on.
Well, it's like we play specific subdivisions and we play the chord tones.
Right.
It's like, it will interlock in interesting ways if you just let it go.
Yeah, but like they were all three bands were doing it, but like they did it in a way that was just like
Same thing with jazz. Like, dude,
Right.
walking bass is the easiest thing in the world, and also it's not, because most people that do play working bass.
That's the thing about any style of music. Like when you don't understand it, like when you don't know what's going on. Like I remember being in Berkeley and really not understanding how to write a chart for like how a chart could compact the amount of information that I would like the people I'm playing with to actually output, and that's because I was playing with shitty musicians, and like I didn't understand what I was like. I think John sometimes thinks like that, like, because he's really into writing charts, but it's like I thought the chart somehow was supposed to really have an exact version of my vision of how they should play their own
also
instrument.
kind of direct them in a way that you want.
Exactly.
So that's why you put all the tensions and all the shit.
Right,
and it's just
right.
the more you put, the worse it is, if you ask me.
Absolutely, because a great musician is going to see a 1-4-5 and understand the style and the context and fill in the blanks.
And I have to say, because I played this gig with John, and all the songs were like, for me, in G flat.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
Yeah.
They're like, really the worst case, G flat, D flat. When I had to read, I'm like, dude, I haven't read anything in C in 10 years. In 15 years, I haven't read anything in C. It's like you're giving me stuff to read in D flat.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
Right.
But then, also you had all the slash chords that bassists love.
Yeah.
And different types of measures. And dude, it doesn't sound like the stuff that you're supposed to play doesn't sound right. And there is something that sounds right, but I can't start searching
Right.
on in D flat in the middle of a wedding gig when I'm taking a couple of courses. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it needs to be in a way that you can. If everybody is reading, it should be simple enough that it's obvious what works.
Absolutely.
That's what I think about it.
Absolutely.
And like the more information you put on won't make it. It's the opposite, because I have to think more about what everything is.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it just doesn't.
Did you see the video I made about like subdividing?
No, I'm going to vote. The last one you did?
Yeah, I actually, it's weird because I don't, I think some people when they see my lessons, especially like I know students that are drawn to take private lessons with me because they see some of this stuff, they think that this is some sort of like method, But like when I make these things, I just have an idea and I flush it out. Or like I have an idea of how to work on something for myself and I kind of share it in the moment with people. Like it's very rarely something I have done to get to where I am, because I forget all the things I've done, or most of them. Like I remember very few exercises kind of things, but like, it's kind of like a concept that like we're developing now together. But yeah, it was about subdivide. Like I realized that if you want to have a conversation about rhythm, the one thing you have to do is choose a groove and a tempo. And then you can have an actual conversation about what you would and wouldn't do and how to think about things. So like you can have an entire conversation about 140 BPM or 120 BPM that's deep and detailed and will give you tools, but it doesn't apply to 70 BPM in a direct way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was thinking about like these medium tempo kind of things. This is, and the idea was how to get interesting ideas. I mean, you can watch it. It's just lesson 6 if you're listening and curious about that. I uploaded it, but I don't know if you ever do this. So like there are these tempos where we've always had a problem with them where the sextuplets feel like they're the shreddy subdivisions. The 16th notes are too slow, and the 32nd notes are too
A tiny bit
fast.
faster. Yeah,
Right.
I usually would still go.
You go 32nd, but they feel cartoony. It's like
Well, it's kind of like I look at it like kind of like a snare roll. That's
Yeah.
how I feel. Whether I feel about it when I play it, like
Right.
like stuff like that. Yeah,
right.
but it's not as defined and as good as yeah.
Yeah, so it's like if you're like, let's say here, like.
Yeah, I would play 32nd note here, but it's like you're talking about the
Right, so
The
yeah.
six, yeah.
The six is that like feels like it has some momentum
Yeah.
to it. But yeah, what I was thinking about there, like if this is where the time is like, you know, to first of all feel it like in halftime, then find the quarter note triplet, so over that tempo, and then subdivide from here. So like the nines on the half would be
No, that's not the quarter note triplets. That's the triplets.
What? No.
Oh yeah, but you took it halftime.
What?
Yeah, but you took it after. You
Yeah.
said halftime.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like
so
down,
Yeah.
down,
Yeah,
down,
that's
so subdividing those quarter note triplets into like two, one.
No, that's not quarter note triplets. That's what I'm saying.
they are.
Because if this is the tempo, then it's
Yeah,
that's a triplet.
those are triplets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Down. Right.
It's like
Yeah.
ta 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 ta
Yeah.
ta 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 ta. Yeah.
That's what you're singing. Yeah. Those are
So
the
you take
quarter
it
note triplets.
halftime, and then it's just triplets.
Yeah. I'm saying just triplets in the halftime.
Yeah.
And then you use those triplets to subdivide you subdivide those. That's the whole idea. So you break them into twos, like to get back into triplets grouped as twos. Then you get into the nines, like
Well, if you went into two, it's triplets.
I know,
It's just
but it's
taka,
triplets.
taka, 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 taka,
But it's
taka.
triplets grouped in twos.
Yeah, taka 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 taka.
So it's like
taka, taka.
they have a twist, and then you get into like the 12 over the half note, which is really your sextuplets, but grouped in
fourth.
grouped in fours.
Yeah, I did it a lot in the. I didn't like how I
Strong thing, right?
no I did it a bunch on our audio tree thing.
Yeah.
So it's like takademi, 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 and I was trying to do lines. And yeah, it has a thing to it, but I wasn't able to
Connected.
connect it with my playing enough that I felt like it's worth it.
I really found a way on guitar, like, cause it's like if you really find those points and you really like, you know, the places where those half note triplets land and like physically, and you subdivide like a drummer would, you know, like if you just click with one finger, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like on a frame drum, like you use your index finger, pa, pa, and that stays steady, and then the rest of the fingers fill in the blanks. You know, it's like if it's four, like pa-diddle, daddle, daddle,
Yeah.
daddle, 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 daddle. So if really the rhythms are really emerging from these triplets, and you really keep those triplets together, really has a cool effect. And then, I mean, I was able to like, I think with that kind of mentality, the oddest thing about really working on your rhythmic vocabulary is that when you're dealing with prime numbers, you just got to hear it. Like
Yeah.
you, because there's no halfway point in 5
Yeah.
or 7, right?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you know, or like, you know, with 9s, you can break them up into 3s. But like, you know, with 11s, you really have to be able to hear how 11 things fit evenly into one beat.
Yeah.
And I had one good tip that I really think I saw a couple of students that it's really like changed their like they understood it. They weren't able to hear, let's say, quintuplets,
Okay.
like 5 things in one beat, like one. And I think what really helps is taking like that speed where you're trying to do quintuplets and just hear eighth notes in it, meaning like 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2
Okay.
and over that just hearing 2 16th notes or two fast, but whatever, like 2 fast eighth notes, 1 triplet, like ta da ta da da ta da ta da da ta da ta da da ta da ta da ta da ta da, and then stop counting it in 2, play that rhythm in one, and then just straighten that out. And especially if you do it faster, you just make yourself say it straight.
I remember something that helped me to do it when I started, when you showed into the stuff originally, is that instead of trying to fit it in a beat, like tadikinatum, 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 do the opposite. So just say tadikinatum in tempo, tadikinatum, 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 tadikinatum. So do it the opposite of what you would do it. So you say it first and then you put the beat on.
The beauty, I think the real thing about rhythmic vocabulary is that it's never separate from the groove. So you always got to hear the groove. So you got to figure out how that rhythm's going to fit onto a thing. Like have internal, whatever. If it's a swing thing, like ba da da ba ba be ba ba ba. So it's like, how can you possibly take a 5 like ba da 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 ba da ba da ba. Right, so it's like one.
It's funny with swing, a lot of stuff works.
Yeah, you could really do a lot.
Yeah, with fusion not as much, but yeah.
Yeah, but like if you just take 2 8 notes, like in that same tempo, pa pa, like 1 and 2 and ta. Just 2 5s, but. Though, I mean, we've talked about this in previous episodes, but I really see this now as one of the biggest problems that people have playing music, the groove not being internalized enough. Not
I don't even think about the groove. I told you, like if you hear, because I was talking to one of my students about that if you have a ballad now, they would never play the 8th notes. And it's like, that's the groove of the triplets, you know? I'm saying a jazz ballad. Like do, 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 do. So, like we never play in that subdivision. It's like, don't do the entire solo well.
Right.
But it's like you have to at least do it a little bit.
Well, when you listen to like the best players, a lot of times it really feels like they're just playing against the groove. Like, you know, Django Reinhardt, like and like, you know, especially a guy like Louis Armstrong. You know, when you hear a Louis solo, a lot of times it's so far behind and so far ahead, but not like, and so, quote unquote, out of time to, you know, and the groove is laid out so simply that that's sort of an option. So I think like another thing to really take into consideration is like the players you're playing with, how solid they are, and how much of
but even Louis Armstrong, if you hear him like when you're smiling or stuff, yeah, it's contrast, but he would still play some of the melody and it's like do 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 do.
I know, but in terms of placement, like I understand, like it is 8th notes, but like they're really pulling against it, and to do that, you really have to have a real center, a real steady center within. It's not just, and I think that's the point. It's not just against the drums. It's against the internal feeling of the drums. I'm not saying you should tap your foot, but you should really hear time.
Yeah, but I'm saying it feels to me like he's still in the groove. It doesn't feel to me like, I know what you're talking about against, and he does all the straight stuff, but there's also a groove in his playing.
Absolutely. I'm saying it's internal. It's like he's really in that like that the tempo's just solid and he's just pulling it. Oh, bum 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 bum. It's like, but he makes you really hear what it's relating it to, and it's the sort of thing that like if you don't truly internalize it, don't truly work on feeling where it is and just maintaining that feeling in your playing, it's just not gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what maybe people don't understand, that we have of a system for rhythm, but then you just work on really small things that you think about. Like the way I got to what we were saying, what the 12 thing, the 4, like 4/4/4, 6 tablets with 4. So the way I thought about it is that I looked at songs like Messy Mark, and I saw how many subdivisions I actually have on stuff in 6, because I feel it. I feel the pulse like really slowly. And then I was like, oh, I can divide. I take one of them, divide in 5, two of them, divide in 5, divide into 6, divide it into 3, then it's 9, divide it into, and I take the entire thing, divide it into 4, divide it into 2, divide it into 8, and then it's like and I was thinking like I don't have the same thing in 4.
Yeah.
Like I don't have as many subdivisions I use in 4, and then I was thinking, how can I have? Because I really like the feeling of that 8 on that 6. Like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, takademi.
Yeah, just really
Like
pulling, but
that-
there's something straight.
So you
about
can
it.
even hear it like when I'm just singing like right? So I really liked it, like to do that. And I was like, but I don't have a thing in 4 that does it. And then that's how I thought about doing that 6 in groups of 4. But
I mean, that's the thing. I think Nick, my student, was asking me about like, can you really like sing this stuff? Can you really hear these rhythms? I'm like, yeah. Like you can't play the things you can't imagine.
yeah.
If your fingers don't, you're not like a headless chicken that's like,
Yeah.
just acting in a way that's like not in accordance to your thoughts and your brain. And if you're not, rhythm doesn't work that way. If you don't imagine it, it will never materialize. It won't happen. You just won't get it.
Yeah, and like I said in a lot of podcasts, that's what both of us, and it's very obvious when you listen to us play, especially as time goes by, but it's very obvious that we think about the rhythm first. And, my student was asking me, it's like, yeah, but you play all those long lines and all this crazy stuff. It's like, what do you really think about that? And how do you know if it's one note and not the other? And I was like, well, it's not, I don't have perfect pitch. So if you have perfect pitch, maybe it's different. But I kind of I know what stuff sounds like over changes. And I think about the rhythm. And then I know the contour. But yeah, to say that I could perfectly write down my lines. No, it's not like that.
Yeah.
But it's, it's like basically like you're singing with a theremin, but but you have a system that just puts it in tune.
That's right.
So it's, it can be, like I know what a B sounds like on D minor. So, and I know I'm not going to play a B flat there.
Right.
So it's like it's kind of like a self-correcting system.
Okay. I think this is as far as we should take this one. My baby's about to wake up.
And we need to eat. I'm hungry.
All right. So yeah, we're on tour. Check out the tour schedule on bandsintown.com/Marbin.
Follow up my custody arrangement to know when I'm on tour.
Yeah. It's going to post the court hearings. And then there's marbinmusic.bandcamp.com, Facebook. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.